you want to experience the thrill of a Packers game at Lambeau Field? If so, be sure to get your game tickets from the longtime trusted source in Wisconsin, Ticket King. Visit their locations in Milwaukee and Green Bay, or just go to their website, theticketking.com. Again, that's theticketking.com.
And now, for fans of the 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers, this is Cheesehead TV Live.
Cheetahs don't stretch, and neither do we.
I think you're an idiot, and I mean that with the most respect possible that I can give to an idiot.
Packers Hall of Fame quarterback Jay Cutler.
It's not as fun to say as Equinemius.
That is a perfect example of a wrong opinion. Ring the bell. Welcome back, Packers fans. A little bit of short notice today, but it is another edition of Cheesehead TV Live. It's the I Hope We're Not That Soft edition of Cheesehead TV Live. I am Jason Perrone of Cheesehead TV. Along with me, as always, Jeremy Vanderlinden. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. It's good.
So here we are in the living room, and my wonderful son is running around here with a Cubs jersey on. For those of you Brewers fans at home right now, I just felt like I had to come clean and let you know that he was absolutely running around berserk on Sunday night after the Grand Slam walk-off. So go ahead and at me on Twitter and spread the hate as much as you want. But
speaking of that, before we go too far, we've never told people our Twitter handles. So in case anybody wants to talk to us, you can find me at JeremyRVDL and Mr. Perrone.
At Jason Perrone. Really simple. At JASONPERONE. So
I don't spell on air.
That's right.
Even my own name.
Got it.
Just in case. It's a good rule.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. From the former radio intern here who's got all of the great insights and who always sets up all of our equipment correctly so I don't break anything, which I am bound to do. So, all right, we're doing this a couple days before the Packers host the Steelers for preseason game number 2. Preseason game number 1 is in the rearview mirror, but we can still talk about some of the stuff, because there's been some stories that have come out from the game, some storylines, some practices have happened since then. It's been the Jake Kumaro Love Fest, all the usual things you're used to in Packerland right now. So where do we want to kick off here? Do we want to kind of review the preseason game that was? So Aaron Rodgers didn't start.
Right.
We knew he wouldn't play.
Didn't play.
Didn't play at all. We knew he wouldn't play. Word is, in the way that the practice is going this week so far, it sounds like he's going to get in there and play a couple series. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. It's okay. So before we jump into that, let's talk about that game because Aaron Rodgers didn't play, but there were 3 other quarterbacks that did, and I think they were the highlight of the night. They were the most fun part of the night. Brett Hundley came out, and he's chucking it deep in a way that he did not do last year. Now, he did throw to the sideline a lot last year to Devontae Adams, so that long pass is similar in some ways to last year, but it was he's going deep, man. And he looked accurate, and he looked confident. Now, it's one preseason game, and we've seen him look good before, so we shouldn't get too overly excited about Brett Hundley, but I think he's, as far as games go, he's off to a good start. That's the kind of thing that he needed to do to make me comfortable with him being around for another year.
Would you think he will? Do
I think he will?
Yeah.
If he continues to perform like that, then how do you – like Kaiser was good. And it's encouraging to see Kaiser play the way that he did, but he was not as good as Brett Hundley was.
At one point, I saw Kaiser leave his feet to make a long throw. Was that the throw to Kumaro that got complete?
I think.
He made the completion,
right,
but he had to leave his feet. I'm like, this is very Jordan-esque,
right?
But
because the kid's got a cannon, he can do that physically, he's able. Now it's not always going to be the most accurate, so I don't recommend it, and that's why McCarthy talked about the fundamentals of he and Tim Boyle being off. They just did a couple things that McCarthy wasn't so – I wouldn't say he wasn't happy with, because I think overall they were happy with the performance. So Kaiser has a good game. Boyle has a good game. And Boyle, I think – was the funnest thing to watch. Yeah. It's not that does not mean I think he was the best quarterback to watch. That does not mean that I think he's going to be on the 53. But holy crap, it was like watching a Tomahawk missile assault Tim Boyle's on the field, then suddenly nothing is shorter than 40 yards.
Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, this happens every preseason, though. You're getting lulled into that whole, like, second half preseason game against the 3s and 4s, garbage balls, arena football type of deal. Now, Boyle looks like a quarterback. I really think he is on the practice squad this year, and I think Brett Hundley's on his way out because you don't give up Demarius Randall, who is not the best corner on earth, but he was still your most productive cornerback last year for Deshaun Kaiser, right, to send Kaiser packing.
No, Kaiser's sticking around. Boyle is going to be the guy that the fans fall in love with again and feel like they can't cut him. They can't cut him because they're going to end up losing out on this guy. But I think there's still a chance Tim Boyle. He had one good preseason game, and it was against like third-string guys. I'd like to see him go up against some of the stiffer competition in preseason, but we might not get to see that. So great. Okay, let's say they cut Tim Boyle and he goes to somebody else's roster and they lose out on him. Are we really going to be?
No.
Is anybody really going to be upset? Everybody has an issue with Taysom Hill, and it really bothered them when they cut Joe Callahan the first time.
Joe Callahan is bagging groceries. This happens every year. We get enamored, we fall in love, we want this. It's a great story to happen, to come to fruition. I think Jake Kumaro to a much lesser extent because he's got a chance to make this roster.
Right.
I'll say it, finally out there and for the public to hear. Like, he's got a chance to make this roster, but I still think he's facing an uphill battle to do so.
I think so too.
But these guys, they get cut. We freak out. Oh, they're going to get picked up, and they don't. We like them because we see so much of them. We want more of them because we hear about them all the time. But there's 31 other teams that have guys just like this floating around, and they don't all get picked up. So I just, temper the expectations is what I say when you're talking about the young guys. But getting back to the quarterbacks, I did like more of what I saw from Hundley. He had that really nice throw where he was rolling left, and he kind of put it in the Gruden's turkey hole to EQ St. Brown, which was a nice throw. To your point, he did make some plays that he hasn't made before, so he's making this quarterback situation a little bit more difficult on the head coaches. But I always say when you've got this problem, it's a good problem to have.
Well, I think it is a good problem to have. It's frustrating for fans because you're trying to put the puzzle together as a fan, but you can't because you don't want to cut some of your favorites and you don't want to cut those potential guys. You don't want to cut Kaiser. You don't want to cut Tim Boyle. You don't want to cut Jake Kumaro. You don't want to see those guys go because you think everybody wants that Cinderella story to happen. Jake Kumaro is that. Everybody's begging for that to be on the roster. So with the quarterback situation being what it is and Hundley playing the way he did in that pass that you're talking about to Equanimeous St. Brown, he rolled left, which he did not do last year. That wasn't a pass he was making last year. He was throwing it with a lot of confidence, and that pass right there, I think, was more impressive than the long bomb to Devontae Adams.
Yeah. Because
the confidence that went into making that pass and threading the needle, the power behind the ball to make that happen was fantastic, and I was very impressed. Now, I definitely want to see more. I'm not ready to say Brett Hundley has fixed his issues as a quarterback, and I would trust him to come in if Rodgers got hurt, but that was a very satisfying experience to watch him play as well as he did. Now, as far as receivers go, you brought up Jake Kumaro. He's not a lock to make the roster. I did hear Paul Imming was on 1250, and he pretty much said he is a lock to make the roster, but I don't see how you can say that.
Well, I don't know how you make him a lock when you're going to – so that to me says that Trevor Davis is out, who he's been injured. He hasn't spent a lot of time practicing.
I already think he's done. He's missed so much time. He's screwed. There's no way. He would have to completely blow everyone away. There's no way because they talked about practices being as important or more important than games in the preseason, and they only have 3 legit preseason practices, training camp practices left.
Right.
I think he's screwed. He's done.
Yeah, he's kind of played himself off, and then we'll get into this discussion a little bit later about the whole, because Trevor Davis is one of the guys they were rotating in for kick return, punt return, and then they started talking about some other guys they could put back there, and that got really interesting when Ron Zook took the mic and started talking about some of the other options, which we'll talk about. But just kind of getting into, just going through the list here. We talked about the quarterbacks. Marquez Valdez-Scantling obviously had the best game out of anybody on a Packers Packers uniform. He's a rookie receiver. We need the rookies to be good. It was encouraging that he played a good game, regardless of whether it was preseason or not. True or false?
to be honest. I'll say true. I don't know. I missed it because I was looking at it. I was looking at a message from Al. I wasn't even listening to you.
Yeah.
So true, because I don't know what the heck
What
you
is
were
the
saying.
Overlord saying right now? Is he happy? Is he happy?
He can hear us, and that's a positive.
Good.
So
Hi, Al.
Al, thank you, Al, for listening to the show and joining us. That's great. As far as MVS's performance, it was impressive, but I need to see more because he is a guy that everybody's talked about his raw talent. I'm still nervous he's just going to be Jeff Janis. Like, I'm not quite sure that he's going to be anything more than a guy with tons of physical talent that can't do it consistently. So
possible.
Awesome. Good. One game. Cool. Let's see some more of that. I think the guy that I'm happiest with, honestly, is Equanimeous St. Brown, just because I think what we saw from him will be consistent with what we will see from him, and I don't have a question about that. With Valdez-Scantling, I have a question as to whether or not he can have that performance again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I said it on another show that I did earlier this week. He's got to stack a couple games together to gain that confidence, but you need it because he's got the speed and he's got the size, and you don't want to give that up, and you don't want to see that not come to fruition. Now, the one guy that did frustrate me was Jamon Moore. Jamon Moore has the speed and the savvy to get open.
Man.
He's just got to get out of his own head, and I knew this was going to be an issue with him, and I think we're going to probably have to sit through a season or two with more of just letting him develop and kind of letting him kind of just get into the pro game and get comfortable with his role.
Well, let's talk about these three guys and Jake Kummerow. So, at the end of the day, are you cutting any of these three to keep Jake Kummerow on the roster?
No.
No. I agree, and here's why. Rodgers likes Kummerow because he knows that he can play today. But Geronimo Allison is also that guy, and I don't think Geronimo Allison has the ceiling of these other three guys. And so are you going to keep two guys who are just guys that can play right now but don't have the ceiling of these three rookies? I don't see it. I just don't see Kummerow beating out all three of these guys to get on the roster, because I think Jamon Moore I think is going to make the roster. Even if he continues the way that he performed, I think he's going to be on the roster this year. I don't love that. It was very disappointing to see him play the way that he did. And I think no one's more disappointed than he is. But I can't justify keeping Jake Kummerow and letting one of these three guys go and then missing out on the ceiling that they have, because Kummerow does not have the ceiling of any of these three guys.
No, and he's also older than all of them too. So he's older than all of them are, and he's another thing is if he has a good season this year, he's on a one-year deal, then what do you do next year? What kind of a contract do you have to sign him to? What kind of money is he going to be looking for? You've got all three of these rookies already signed on cheap deals, and you've got them under lock and key for the next 4 years.
I think the most consistent of the three out of the gate is going to be Equanimeous. Wow. Now, I don't think he's going to be that doesn't mean he's going to be the best of the three, but the most consistent out of the gate, I think, is going to be him. I think we will see Rodgers build a relationship with him as the season goes on. Valdez-Scantling had one good game, but we need to see him repeat. If he can do that if he can play that well every time the ball's thrown to him, he somehow just sticks to him, awesome. I don't know that he's going to repeat that.
Well, that's what this week's game is all about. It's going to be kind of seeing what these guys do and how they respond and come out and play. You're going to have Rodgers potentially throwing the ball the first couple series. So if you get a ball thrown your way, you darn well better catch that thing. I don't care who you are. You better catch that ball. Otherwise, it's going to be a huge problem, because we've seen Aaron Rodgers get frustrated with these receivers already. Hence the title of our show. I hope we're not that soft. Aaron Rodgers calling out his receivers last week because they put a terrible practice together when they were running the scout team. He runs the scout team on the Cards. They didn't do well. The effort was bad. He called everybody out. He was asked about it earlier this week, and he basically said, I hope that we're not that soft and we can take some constructive criticism. This is a little bit of a harsher Rodgers, but I think he also he wants to win.
I think he's feeling it, man. I think he's feeling the end coming. He knows he's getting to his last chances are coming along here, and he doesn't want to mess around anymore. Not that he wanted to mess around before, but he's to the point where he wants to vocalize his desire to win, to make sure that everybody's on that same page. I have no problem with what he did at all. And I'm actually kind of surprised McCarthy came out and said anything against it. Even though McCarthy said what he said, I think he's still glad that his quarterback would speak up that way.
Right. Why wouldn't you be? He's one of the leaders on the team. He's got everybody's ear. He's got everybody's ear in the NFL. He's got everybody's ear in the world, on the team. I mean,
did you see what Mercedes Lewis and Tim Boyle said about him? They both, in separate interviews, said that he's on a different planet.
Yeah,
both use the same terminology about how smart and how impressive Aaron Rodgers is. So these young receivers come in, and they're not practicing as hard as he'd like, and he mentions that in the media. This guy, who is so impressive that he's Mercedes Lewis has been in the league for a long time, and he's blown away. Jimmy Graham has talked about it. He's blown away. This guy's blowing away veterans, and you think these rookies aren't gonna hear him say that and think I need to step it up, because I don't think they're gonna hear it and be like, I'm gonna shut down. I'm not very happy with the way he's talking about me. It's Aaron Rodgers.
Well, outside of last year, Mercedes Lewis has never been on a winning team. He's never been on a team that had a good mindset. They've all been negative and losers, and just the Jaguars were terrible for a long time. So he's excited. What I like is the positive comments that are being made about Jimmy Graham. Aaron Rodgers is talking about his intelligence level, how it's kind of on par with Jordy. It's like, we kind of need that because Jordy left, and that's the one thing we're going to miss the most about Jordy Nelson. It's not his physical skills anymore, but it was just his know-how and his savvy.
Right. He said he compared him to Jordy and John Kuhn. And the John Kuhn comparison to me was the most impressive part of it, because in the past, Rodgers had said that John Kuhn was the guy on the roster that knew the playbook almost as much as he did, or as well as he did. That John Kuhn was basically like, he was just full of knowledge with the playbook and how the offense worked.
Right.
And now you got a guy like Jimmy Graham, who's an athletic freak. He understands what the heck's going on, and it's awesome. It's awesome to have a guy with that kind of athleticism with the brain that he has. We already have one. We got Aaron Rodgers. He's a freak athletically, and he's also a freaking genius. So, to add another guy to the offense that's not a fullback, I mean, that's pretty darn cool. I'm not really – people are upset about – or were upset at least about losing Jordy Nelson, and I'm not so concerned about it because of Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham is the – He fixes the loss of Jordy Nelson in a big way, and I think he improves it. So I'm excited about these two, seeing them hook up. I don't think we're going to see anything that blows us away until the regular season.
No, they'll go very simple.
Right.
They'll go very simple, but I mean, things are trending in the right direction, and the comments that are being made are headed. They're in the right direction. They're all the right things. They're the things the fans want to hear.
Right.
So as far as the passing game goes, I think we'll be okay. The one good thing I also saw too, it wasn't on a running play, but Jamal Williams getting in on that first touchdown, he's going to step in and kind of be the starter, you assume, week one. I think he's going to get the nod over Ty Montgomery while Aaron Jones is on his 2-week suspension, but Williams looks like he's ready to go. We haven't seen or heard much from the running back, so it was nice to see.
Well, this is that's something to take note of if you're a fantasy football player who wants a Packer on your team. Jamal Williams rated really high for pass blocking last year. He's having a good camp. I think he's going to be the starter, and it's going to be really hard for Aaron Jones to rip that away from him. He's going to see the field a lot because the Packers pass the ball a lot, which means he's going to get opportunities to touch the ball too. Catching the ball out of the backfield, we saw it in the preseason game. He can do that. That for him to get into the end zone and make those three guys miss to get into the end zone was very impressive.
Yeah, no, he did really good. You know what was funny, though? So I'm already kind of in, new rules mode, and I saw him duck his head and kind of dive into the end zone.
No.
I'm like, he's going to get flagged for, crowning or charging with his helmet, which is not what we wanted at all, but he didn't. So
right. So, I mean, that rule has me a little nervous this year, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as everybody feels it's going to be. The new rule, I think, we might see it have an impact here and there. I don't think it's going to ruin. It felt like it was going to ruin the league.
I hope they're just overcalling it in preseason, like everybody says, and they won't do it.
I don't think it's going to be so bad in the regular season.
Good.
I hope.
You're going to impact too many games, and it's going to completely change the
product,
the complexion of the season.
Right.
So, all right. So, what else on offense? Before do we want to talk about the O-line? Because the good news is our tackles are back at practice. Brian Bulaga, I cannot believe that he's practicing and playing. I mean, I don't know if he wants to try to protect his job or if this is just he's some kind of a freak of nature and we didn't know about it. I was shocked.
He found some new kind of stem cell research or something ridiculous. I don't know. But he's back. He's going to be back, it looks like, for the regular season. He'll probably be back for week 1.
Well, and thank God, because Jason Spriggs and Byron Bell did not look good at tackle.
Byron Bell looks terrible. Byron Bell looks like a guard. He does not belong at tackle. So I'm not happy with where they're at depth-wise on the offensive line. It's awesome to have Bulaga back, and it's really good that Bakhtiari's not terribly hurt. But outside of that, like Kyle Murphy, hoping that Kyle Murphy's going to be able to play right tackle, I don't know, man. I just am like, I'm uncomfortable with the situation. I'm uncomfortable.
It's the depth. And so if Bulaga and Bakhtiari can both play, and you got Lane Taylor and you got Corey Linsley at center, and I would say Justin McCray to me right now, like I wouldn't feel awful if he started week 1 at right guard. The depth makes me feel better. If Spriggs and Kyle Murphy are backups and Byron Bell is a backup, that's fine. If those guys have to get in and play any meaningful snaps, though, then that's what worries me.
Look, I think if Bell's a backup at guard, I'm fine. I'm not happy if Spriggs has to come onto the field. Kyle Murphy, I'm not sure. So I'm just there's a lot of uncertainty, but I don't think Spriggs is ever going to be as good as we had hoped. I mean, when he was drafted, he was a guy that was touted as being this, like, he was a very athletic tackle that everybody thought he's got the body for a tackle. He's very athletic. He's very gifted that way. He can develop to be a really good tackle. I think Spriggs is going to be I think he's going to be gone next year.
He hasn't shown anything. At this point, we know that he's not going to be very good. The light bulb's not going to go off, so it was a waste. They moved up to get him in the second round. I don't know what they saw in him that made them think they should do that. He put on weight.
High ceiling.
Well, they put on weight, so is there any chance that he's just needs to get used to playing at this new weight?
Well, and he's got to get used to the injury. Like, coming back from the injury, McCarthy mentioned this, that it's an injury that takes an extra year. It's not one that you just bounce back from and you're good to go, but it might take another year. So maybe we're wrong, and Spriggs will be fine starting next year, but I think right now it's looking like Spriggs is a flop. Looks like a bad pick.
Right.
Looks like a bad pick.
Right. Yeah, which happens. Again, everybody wants to chastise Ted and give him a hard time. It happens. You're never going to get it perfect. It's never going to be right all the time. So you just kind of have to take the good with the bad. But the Packers right now are in very good shape. I mean, I think the arrow is pointing up. They're doing well. So,
well, let's talk about the defense a little bit. We went through the offense. Defensively, I think there was a lot of positive, and the number one thing for me, and I might just be throwing you for a loop here because we didn't talk about going through this, but the defensive line and the depth of the defensive line is very exciting.
Yeah.
Montravius Adams had a really good game, and Dean Lowry. I mean, these are guys who could start on some rosters, and they're going to be rotating in for the Packers. It's pretty. I mean, it's great to have the front end of the defense where it's at right now, because I think it's going to be the thing that fixes the back end of the defense.
Yeah. No, for sure. And they're going to get a pass rush. It's one line to the next. So the offensive line, some concern. Defensive line, if everybody's healthy, phenomenal. I mean,
I think the defensive line is the star of the defense. I think it is the best position on that defense. It's going to be the engine that makes that car go for this season. That's
Is it hyperbole to say that this D line could actually be as good as or better than what they have in Los Angeles with Sue and Aaron Donald?
I think
and the rest of their defensive line.
I think we're going to have to keep that thought a secret. We can't tell anybody until it's I don't know, because I just feel like it sounds like such a reach, but it's also one of those things that I feel like is a possibility that I want to believe in my mind that could happen. It seems like a reach, but I'm choosing, yes, that can happen. It can be just as good as that.
Good. I mean, yeah, if they stay healthy, and we haven't been able to see them all play together because they're trying to save reps, and Mo Wilkerson's back at practice, and Mike Daniels is back at practice, and I don't know how much we'll see of them in this week's game or game 3 before game 4, and we won't see any of the starters. So I think we might have to wait till the beginning of the season to really see how this whole thing really clicks and goes.
Right.
But additionally on the defense, let's skip linebacker because we have other storylines to talk about at linebacker. Let's talk about this secondary. Okay. Fantastic game. Maybe not stellar, but a very good showing by Josh Jackson. I liked what I saw from him. I thought he made some nice plays. He got flagged. I thought they were ticky-tack, but it's the moxie, it's the eye test that I thought he passed for me in that game.
Well, the good news about Jackson is he's on the upswing. Just before the game, he started to swing upward in practice, and then he had the good game, and it's continued since the game. So Josh Jackson is he's trending upward, and we didn't get to see Jair Alexander play, but it sounds like he's having a really good camp, and veterans are really he acts more like a veteran than a rookie. The guy's very confident. Mike Clements from XM Radio was talking to him about just the way that he carries himself, and he's just a really impressive individual. Like, he's very comfortable with who he is. He's very confident. He's cocky, but not beyond what I think is acceptable. I think he is as cocky. I think he can back it up.
Well, maybe he's confident but not cocky. Or maybe he's a little cocky.
Oh, no, he's a little cocky.
You got to be, though.
No, he's a little cocky.
You got to be to play corner. If he's going to be our number one nickelback out of the gate, then I want a little bit of that swagger on that defense. So
So he and Josh Jackson together. I'm happy with Jackson's game. I'm so excited to see Jair and those two playing together. I think Jair might be back this week.
Yeah.
I don't think that's confirmed yet, but I think he might be back this week.
He'll get a chance to play him. They got to get him out there and see what he can do. In fact, I also heard that Zook might want to try him out at in punt return.
Punt return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'd like to see that too. I'm not. Okay, so did we talk about this Tremont thing? Was that before the show or have we?
That was before the show. We haven't gotten to Tremont yet. We haven't even gotten to Tremont yet. So if we want to stay on corner, one of the discussions I saw today was based on the way the rookies are playing, which is a good thing. You got Lindsey Pipkins to throw in the mix there too.
Right.
Devon House is probably not going to make this roster, which I guess wouldn't be the worst thing on earth because you don't want to have to rely on those guys. You really ideally want your young guys to play.
It's good news if he doesn't make the roster. And that's just because it means that the young guys that you brought in, the young guys that you have are developing. It's working. You don't need to have a Devon House. It's good news if he doesn't make the roster. And I love Devon House. I think it's sad that we've never gotten to see him play to his potential. It feels to me that we never got to see Devon House peak Devon House because anytime he was ready to roll, he'd get hurt.
Yeah. Even when he was good, he came out in 2011. Remember he had like the family night, the big pick 6 and family night back when they used to do a scrimmage.
I thought Devon House is going to be a stud this year. He's going to be a stud.
I did too, and then he wasn't.
So unfortunately, we've never got to see Devon House at his peak, and I just don't think there's going to be room on the roster for him because some of these young guys are playing so well.
Right, which is a good thing. Again, it's a good thing to see. To see Alexander in action and see him play is going to be important. And let's not forget some of the young safeties too. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Whitehead's going to play because he had the back injury. He's okay,
right?
But they may sit him because that's something you don't want to screw around with and tweak. But Bryce is out there. I saw him struggling a little bit to make tackles. Like
Josh Jones has been struggling in coverage in camp. Not outside of HaHa Clinton Dix, that safety position is very questionable. So I'm going to throw this name in there because I think he's more of a safety. Quentin Rollins. What a train wreck. The snaps that he played at corner were so bad. I hope that they play him exclusively at safety in the next preseason game and see what he can do there.
He not a corner and he can't return punts. So neither of those two should be an option.
That should not – dude, so when he comes out and he's playing corner and he gets burned, and then he comes out and he muffs the punt, and I'm just like, can they cut him now? Because I just don't see him on the roster. How's that guy going to get a spot on the roster?
Well, okay, so a muff to me, and I've mentioned this before, a muff to me is he didn't handle the punt. He did catch it and handle it cleanly, but the second he came into contact with another player, he fumbled.
Okay, well, fair enough.
But I mean, still, when you put the ball on the ground, you put the ball on the ground. It's not positive. When you're Quentin Rollins, you can't afford any of that kind of stuff. It's not good.
He can't afford that kind of stuff. Quentin Rollins is not going to make this team. I really wanted him to play safe, to move to safety permanently, and that for that to be his position, and for him to get a fair shot there because the depth isn't great at the safety position right now, and he would have had a fair shot to do it, but they're still playing him at corner, and I think for him to have a really fair shot to make it, they should have picked one position and focused on that position.
At this rate, I don't see how he's going to get in there. And how he's going to be impactful, unless it's on special teams. They really need another special teams body, but you can find a guy that can go out there and play and do what you need to do. I mean, I don't know if Martini is potentially a guy that takes up Rollins' special team role, but you've got to be able to rely on your younger guys. And if you keep Rollins, you're cutting another guy, and I don't want it to be somebody who's young.
Right. I would rather keep 7 receivers than have Quentin Rollins on the roster. Rollins on the roster. that they're so deep in so many places that a guy like Quentin Rollins it's just not clicking for him. It's not coming together. I don't see him sticking around.
Right. Yeah. No, probably not. But I mean, so as far as corner goes, I did mention with Tremont too, like, he's not what he used to be, but I do think that he's going to make a play this season that's going to change a game for the Packers for the better. I think he's single-handedly going to help seal a win.
So he's still impactful.
Yes,
he's still going to be impactful. Let's talk about Tremont and special teams, because Zook came out. I was going to say
as a corner, yeah. So Ron Zook comes out today and says, hey, Tremont Williams is going to get some looks at punt return, or he's my backup plan because I saw what he could do back in the day and he was pretty effective. Folks, that was in 2007, 8, and 9. We're talking about 10, 11, 9, 10, 11 years ago. This is not. I tweeted it out today. Father Time is undefeated. This is a horrible take.
It's stupid. But he used to be good. It's stupid. It's just stupid. Jerry Kramer used to be a great guard. I don't want to plug him in. I mean, I just don't.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. So I don't think Tremont should return punts. You have too many young guys on the roster that can do it. They did it in college. Why aren't we seeing Ty Montgomery in any return role? Why?
Right.
Maybe because they're afraid he's a little too fragile. I don't think it makes any sense to even try Tremont at punt return.
I don't know why you wouldn't give Ty Montgomery any kind of an opportunity to put the ball in his hands and get a running start and try to outrun everybody or juke everybody out. Mm-hmm. It's perfect. If you want to get the ball in his hands more and give him more opportunities, get him out there on special teams. Let him return kicks, because Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, when Jones comes back, are going to have the running back position pretty much tied down.
Right, they don't need Ty there. But Ty can fill that Randall Cobb role, that Swiss Army knife. He can do anything, right? But you have Randall Cobb still, so you don't need him to be the key guy there. You need to he's a weapon. I think you need to use him where he can be effective. It doesn't make any sense to me that he's not getting any of the kick or punt returns. It doesn't make any sense to me. We haven't seen it yet. He did it in college and he was good at it.
Right.
He should be doing it now.
Right. No, I agree.
Because Trevor Davis isn't making the roster. Mark it down. Trevor Davis will not be a Packer this season. It's not going to happen.
Right. No, I think it's a good thing. Move on. He's kind of a bonehead. He hasn't turned into what he needed to turn into. He's never really turned into a receiving threat. So,
right.
Davis has got to go. I mean, the good thing is that there isn't a ton of drama this year because the roster is well built. I mean, the only real issue and the only real problem is transition alert is pass rush, because you don't have Nick Perry hasn't even suited up yet.
Right.
Clay Matthews is another year older.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler Fackrell is still on this team.
He's still Kyler Fackrell.
Reggie Gilbert is their most effective pass rusher so far, and I do like him, and I'm excited for him to get more opportunities and see more of the field. Vince Beagle has looked okay, but I still don't know if we can count on him as a starter. And earlier this week, because the football gods and the football universe loves to screw with Packers fans who are still in Ted Thompson mode, even though we got to get out of it now because Brian Gutekunst is the GM. Right. And he actually makes some moves.
But wait, Jason. Ted Thompson's still in the room. He could be destroying the roster from within. It's unbelievable. I can't believe they're letting him stick around.
He could.
Sorry.
No, you're right. He could absolutely be destroying it. And that could also be the reason why these rumors about a disgruntled linebacker in Oakland who is holding out and not reporting to play for his team this preseason could potentially be traded. And one of the only teams in the league that has the capital to bring him in is the Green Bay Packers. I'm talking about one Mr. Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack.
Yeah. Of the Oakland Raiders. Now, I'll go on record right now and say it's a very exciting conversation. We love to talk about it, and it's fun to dream and daydream. The likelihood that this happens is very, very low. The Raiders, if they allow this to happen, we Packers fans should be laughing and skipping around the block. And the Raiders are potentially the dumbest team out there. There's no reason why they should let their star player go.
I think it could happen because John Gruden is running the show in Oakland. And I think John Gruden is a stubborn guy. And if he feels like he's right, he's not giving in to Khalil Mack.
Agreed.
Right?
And I think that's why this is happening.
Right. I think it could happen. Here's the thing. I hate the whole conversation. I hate it. Here's why. I am trying to guard myself from the emotional letdown of not trading for Khalil Mack because it makes so much sense. They have the ammo to get it done, and it makes so. Imagine Khalil Mack in this defense with the defensive line that we just talked about. It would be ridiculous. It would be awesome. I'm trying so hard not to build myself up emotionally, and the thing that bothers me the most about this, it's been talked about by everyone. And OddsShark, this odds maker, has the Packers above the Raiders for as far as odds of which team he's going to be on by October. Right?
Yep.
That's so stupid. There's no valid person out there who has said talks have even begun.
There can't have talks. It's tampering.
No, I'm saying the Packers talking to the Raiders. There's nobody has said that has happened.
Right, having conversations about a trade.
Right.
Which I don't know.
Schefter hasn't said it. Rappaport hasn't said it. All of this has been media driven the whole time.
Lurker says Jeremy needs to embrace the emotions. Which...
I can't embrace the emotions. Listen, I'm a highly emotional guy, and you'll learn that eventually, but I can't embrace the emotions because when the letdown happens and at the end of the year, the defense is the thing that ruins it for the team, and it feels like if they just would have had one more piece, they could have done it. It's going to piss me off so much. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Well,
this is a thing that's not going to happen.
No, but obviously, okay, here's the deal. It's a foregone conclusion, and don't even argue it with me. If Mac joins this team and he joined this defense, the Packers are the favorite not only to win the NFC, but to win the whole damn thing this year. I'm not going to disagree with you.
Here's the thing, though. We're both Packer fans, right? I'm not going to disagree with you. And I don't think I'm being too homerish to say that. Everybody outside of the room, they might feel that. But I really do feel like Khalil, he tilts the field for the defense.
Vikings fans, they think Anthony Barr and their Stephon Diggs and Adam White Lightning Thielen
right,
is their savior. He's gonna win a bunch of games.
So with Khalil Mack, I want this so bad. Like I read articles about it, and I want it to happen so badly, and that's why I'm annoyed by it because nobody has said anything that matters. Nobody that matters has come out and said that this is a possibility, right?
Right.
Like Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, those are the two guys, or the local beat writers. If none of them have come out and said, hey, there are talks happening, let's not talk about it.
So it's much ado about nothing.
Right.
I wrote about it yesterday morning on Cheesehead TV, and it got a lot of traffic, obviously, because a lot of opinions and a lot of folks out there want to see who they have deemed, and this is a little bit too far, but they're talking about the type of impact that Reggie White had when he came to the Packers in 1993. Nothing is going to equal what Reggie did. Mack in his prime is still not going to be as good as Reggie White was.
Right.
But he's a great player, and he's definitely one of probably the top 5 defensive players in the league. So he's worth the money. The Packers have the money. They have the capital to do it. The question is that the linchpin?
If they have the capital to do it?
If they have is Mack the linchpin? And you can sit here and say, okay, the outside linebacker position is not strong in Green Bay. Yes, he's the linchpin, of course. The other take on it is, if you got a chance to go get a player like that, you do it.
Let's just look at a couple of scenarios if this were to happen. Let's say that they trade for him and they all they use is the 2 first-round draft picks, or all they use is picks to get him. You're bringing in a guy and you're going to line him up on the opposite side of the field of Clay Matthews with a defensive line that is completely stacked right now. That sounds insane. And then if you want to go into the base defense, you really could put Clay back at inside linebacker and bring in Nick Perry and have Mack and Perry playing against the run on rundowns. That sounds like a very nasty defense. That sounds awesome. Mm-hmm. I want that. I think that a move for Khalil Mack without getting rid of anybody that's currently on the roster, without losing like Clay Matthews or Nick Perry in the trade, a move like that, I would say guarantees that this defense will be a top 10 defense, because the front end of that defense would be so nasty, it would be ridiculous. It would be ridiculous. The options that they would have, Clay is so good on the inside. The fact that they could put him on the inside and not worry about, we have to have Clay on the outside, because the depth at inside linebacker or outside linebacker blows. It sucks. You add Khalil Mack to the mix, that's not even a thing we're talking about anymore.
Right. So,
yeah, I want it to happen. But let's look at it another way. This question was asked. Somebody asked Peter Bukowski this on his podcast. Which, if you don't listen to Peter Bukowski's podcast, I recommend that you do because it's very good. Somebody asked, would you trade one of the 2 first-round picks, and Clay Matthews? Now, it wouldn't just be those 2 things. It would be an additional. There would be probably another pick involved.
I can't.
But
not
the
laugh at
bulk of the trade, is Clay and a first. Would you do it?
Are you kidding?
Yes.
Would I do that?
Yes. Okay, let's add this caveat. Would you do that if Khalil Mack isn't going to sign a new deal? You would be renting him for a first-round pick.
No. Not for that. Nope. You got to sign him to an extension.
But you have the ability to tag him the next year now. He's your guy. You can tag him.
You can tag him, but he's gonna cost a lot. And you got to see what this extension for Rodgers is going to look like. Which again, I know they'll manage the cap well, and I know that the extension for Rodgers will actually free up some money, and it will actually help the Packers in a way. Although they're going to have to pay some money for him. I mean, it's not like they're not going to get hit in the cap. They're definitely going to get hit in the cap for him. One of the comments was they've got so many guys that need to get new contracts next year, and I'm kind of sitting here, putting a post together. I mean, Clay's gone. I mean, this is Clay Matthews last year in a Packers uniform. Savor him and soak up as much as you can about with Clay. He's not coming back,
right? Because
he'll get a bigger deal. His namesake and his hair alone will get
somebody's
him a deal
pay him
somewhere
a lot
else,
of money,
and he's gone.
Right.
Randall Cobb is either gone or he's cheap. If he comes back cheap, then Cobb stays in Green Bay. Depends on what he wants to do at the end of his career. Does he want to get paid one last time because he was young when he came in the league. He signed his second contract, and he took a little bit less money than the Raiders were going to pay him because the Packers basically said, listen, you're going to get another shot at the pie here before you're 30, and when you're still viable, he might get a chance to go somewhere else. And then you got Ty Montgomery. I think his deal's coming up, but he doesn't really have a ton of leverage.
Right.
Because you've got Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones right now that assuming they're healthy.
The leverage he has is that he's the next Randall Cobb.
Right.
That's it. But that's not like a need. That's not like oh God, we're losing Randall Cobb. What are we gonna do? We have to pay Ty Montgomery whatever he wants. That's not. He doesn't have any leverage.
I think Bulaga's last year. Of his current deal.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. So Michael says there's so many guys who need new contracts next year. Pete Doherty illustrates that in his article that he posted a couple of hours ago. Now, actually, if you read that article, what Pete Doherty was trying to say about those contracts is that there's nobody really coming up for a contract who's gonna get paid so much that they can't pay Mack and Rodgers.
Right.
That's the point of that article.
We're not in a scary situation.
Right. That whole article is to say, hey, not only do they have the capital and the money to make this happen this year, the next 3 years they are set up for this to be an okay situation. So it makes sense for the trade to happen because of that.
So Oakland, okay, here's the deal. Oakland's either not taking phone calls. It was BS that it came out that they were going to potentially shop Mack, or they're asking too much.
Because it'd be done? Because like if I have two first round draft picks, I'm giving them up for Mack, but because draft picks are it's like playing the lottery, and Mack's a guarantee. You know what he is, right? I'm giving up 2 late because they're going to be late picks. I'm giving up 2 late draft picks for Mack. No question. No 2 late first round picks for Mack. No question. Because you know what he is. He's 27. If he was a little younger, that would be awesome. He's 27 years old. He's going to come in here, and he's basically like you swap out Clay, who's been great for the Packers for years, and now you have Mack, who's going to step into that role for more years. The move makes too much sense not to happen, which is I think is the thing that frustrates me the most.
Well, but here's the thing, though, and Andrew Brandt says it all the time. There have to be 2 interested parties in order to do a deal. So that means one party is not interested. Here's the other thing, okay? This is my far-fetched, way too far in the future thinking. The Packers have 2 first-round draft picks. Mm-hmm. And my thought was, as soon as they got that pick from New Orleans this past draft, that they need to parlay and parlay and parlay that all the way until it is time to draft a quarterback. You're going to need... And
so
they might
you
be able to
basically
acquire...
want them to bounce back and back and back. You want them to trade those picks, basically trade back this year, try to have it so you have 2 first-round picks next year, and try to have that ammo for when it's time to jump up and get a quarterback. Because the team with Aaron Rodgers on it is going to compete and always be a late pick in the first round. So you're saying you want them to have the ammo to jump up in the first round to get a guy in the top 5.
But here's, and I understand we could literally be talking about 5 or 6 years from now before that happens.
Right.
I get it. I know that we're not talking about right around the corner, but They have it. They have.
They're thinking about it.
They have the capital now, and it's like, and so basically the way it's been laid out, we've heard ad nauseum all the different talks about Rodgers' contract and the extension. So if they add 2 more years of a contract, right, or is it 2 or 3 that they're talking about? That takes us until because he's going to be 35 this season, right? So that takes us until he's 38,
I think,
and then you've got a year or 2 of franchise tag, and then he's almost 40.
Right.
So we could potentially be looking at another 5 years before they want to bring somebody in. Now, here's the thing, too. You don't draft the guy the year you want him to start, ideally. No one's going to sit for 3 years behind Favre like Rodgers did anymore. But you want to get the guy in and maybe sit him for at least a year. I saw reports that the Browns are actually going to be smart and possibly redshirt Baker Mayfield this year, which is probably wise, even if they don't do great. Don't throw the kid out there and kill his entire confidence and have the media beat the hell out of him.
Right.
So, we could only be 3 or 4 years away from having to draft Rodgers' replacement. Now, we go out and get a guy like Mack. That's great. And the defense is really good. But you've got some defenses that are really, really good. And then the quarterbacks are mediocre. It's the quarterback still runs the entire show. You still got to have the best player on the field be your top guy. And there's no guarantee that they're going to hit and make get the right guy or draft the right quarterback. But you want to at least be in position to do that. So long setup for me.
The door just opened. I think a ghost literally just came into your house.
The wind is picking up. So the thing is that if you've got the second pick now, are you willing to risk that you bring Mack in and you could potentially be, and I know it's way down the road, you could potentially be thwarting this franchise's long-term success because they missed on a quarterback?
No, I don't think so.
It's very what if.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so because I don't think they're thinking, okay, we have these 2 first-round draft picks. This is our hope to replace Aaron Rodgers when he retires. Rodgers is talking about playing till he's 40. There's plenty of time left to get that figured out. And I think they should be thinking about looking for that replacement by time he's 37?
Yeah.
Going on 38?
Yes.
So he'll be 35 this year. In December, he turns 35. He's not 35 yet.
Right.
So the year that we go in and he's 37 and he'll be 38 in December is the year where they need to be thinking about how do we replace Aaron Rodgers. I think that's what you need to be looking at. It's not now, and I don't think they need to worry about those 2 first-round draft picks for.
Okay, so right now you're basically like, listen, you got to if the Raiders call and that's all they ask for and they want the 2 firsts, you run to the fax machine, which I'm sure they probably still use in Green Bay because it's Green Bay, Wisconsin. You send the fax over, and the deal is done, and all of Green Bay and all of Packers Twitter jumps for joy. Right?
Yep. I think if Khalil's actually available, it's a no-brainer.
He's not.
I don't think he actually is either.
Nothing. Your point pretty much killed this whole conversation, but we're having it because it's fun to listen to, and fans are soaking it up right now, aren't you? All out there.
Yes.
Somebody comment and say yes.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm soaking. I'm sitting here and I'm soaking it up. It's a fun conversation.
No, me too. I definitely am. But to your point earlier, none of the legitimate sources have said a word about it, and we would have heard at least a peep.
Right.
If there was really anything to be had here.
Right now, the only thing that we know is that he's not in camp and he's not happy and he wants a new deal. That's it. And the Packers have all these draft picks. There's no link. No link has happened. So I think that the next thing you need to look for if this is going to happen is a report that says Khalil Mack is done with the Raiders. They will not come to terms on a deal. Yeah. It's not going to be the Packers are talking to the Raiders. It's going to be this is not happening. That's going to be the next piece of news that you hear. So look for that.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Probably. That's probably what we're up against, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised.
So, you got anything else? You need to talk about?
No, I think that's it. I think we covered most of the big stuff. I mean, what are you looking for? Okay, Pittsburgh, week 2. Great. What are you looking for? Who are you looking at? Who do you want to see?
I want to see Equanimeous St. Brown still. I think that Equanimeous played consistently well, and he needs to continue that. I think he will be the most consistent of the 3 this year. Valdez-Scantling has the highest ceiling. I want to see if he can add to the performance that he had, and obviously Jamon Moore, we want to see more out of him because we saw him trying to high point balls. Like you saw the athleticism, it's there, However, you need to finish plays for it to matter. It doesn't matter how athletic you are. You need to finish the play. So I want to see Jamon Moore finish some plays. I do want to see Rodgers play. I would like to see a little bit of Jimmy Graham. But if Bakhtiari isn't playing, I don't know that
Do you really think Pittsburgh's coming after Aaron Rodgers?
It doesn't matter. It's not even that. It's just that, I'm not putting Rodgers out there when Spriggs is his left tackle. That's just not. You know what I'm saying?
Roll right.
It's not Rodgers. We're gonna snap the ball, and you're literally rolling right, play after play. It's your only hope. Stay alive.
Obi-Wan, you're my only hope.
Right. Unless Bakhtiari's playing, I don't really want him to play. Lurker says that Valdez-Scantling is better than Equanimeous.
We know
St.
that.
Brown.
He looked better in the first week.
He is the most physically talented of the three, but he's also the most raw of the three. And so what I'm saying is that Equanimeous this year will be the most consistent player of the three.
I at the end of the game, he started coming on. He's the type of kid who he gets some confidence in him. He will catch everything you throw at him.
Yeah, I agree.
He will shock the heck out of us. He's going to end up being one of the best values of this draft.
He could. Value. Not necessarily that he's the best, most talented of the three, but the value for what you get there.
Because he was, sixth? Sixth round?
Sixth round pick.
Sixth round.
Yep. So
I would just like to see Jamon Moore catch a ball, period. I just want to see him catch one ball so he knows that he can do it and then go from there. And that now I want you to catch a ball and do something with it and break away. I
know we're supposed to talk about what we're looking forward to in the next game, but I did hear this week and I want to bring it up. He apparently did not want to talk to the media and was rejecting media as they would come up and ask to speak to him. He would say no until a Packers PR person said, hey, whether you have a big game or a bad game, it's probably a good idea to address the media. And then finally he did. So the thing that bothers me about that is he has not handled his poor performance well. He seems shaken up about it. So I want to see Jamon come out and show us that he's not what we saw, but I'm not real confident in that kid's confidence. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not real sure what he's going to do this week, but that's one of the things I'm looking forward to most. And Jair Alexander, I want to see Jair this week. That's one of the things that we've only read about him and how well he's doing in camp. I want to see him on the field this week.
Yeah, we will. If he's healthy, I think he'll get out there and he'll play. So I want to see the rookies. I want to see the defense get a turnover. They're not going to run a lot of scheme.
Right.
So I don't think you're going to see any kind of sacks or big plays like that, but maybe some more of Oren Burks. We didn't talk about Burks at all. That guy, what a great side-to-side speed this guy is. For once we can actually chase down a play, and that stupid swing pass out in the flat maybe is not going to work this year against the Packers for the first time in ever.
Lurker says that it'll be Murphy at left tackle, not Spriggs. And you're right, but I'm still not confident. Bulaga's not going to play, so then who's going to be at right tackle if Rodgers is playing? I want Rodgers to get on the field.
Spriggs.
Right.
Because we know that Bell can't play. There's no reason to put Bell back out there again. You already know what he is. He's a veteran player. Get Spriggs out there and just give this kid as many looks as you can in the preseason, because I can't put him out there in the regular season.
Okay, so Rodgers can play if this happens. Wherever Spriggs goes, Mercedes Lewis needs to be there too, right next to him. That's it. That's the only answer is Mercedes Lewis is helping block right next to Spriggs. I think that Spriggs can't be trusted. I just think he can't be trusted with Rodgers on the field. I just don't want it.
I don't think he can be trusted at all. And that's the other thing too, is he's got this new frame and this new body makeup or whatever, and he's got to learn how to play with it, and it just doesn't it doesn't give me any confidence, and then Kyle Murphy, if Kyle Murphy is at left tackle instead of David Bakhtiari, I still don't want Aaron Rodgers out there. Murphy at right tackle is one thing. Anybody besides Bakhtiari at left tackle, if you have two left tackles on a team, you're very fortunate. You're very lucky if you have that luxury. No team does. So the bottom line is 69 doesn't play, 12 doesn't play.
I don't want that. Yes, exactly. That's how I feel.
Did I just hear a bass drop?
That was I don't know if that played into the show. I don't think so. It was a reminder on my computer.
It was like an electronic fart.
My wife is trying to glue some chairs apparently because there's a reminder that just popped up.
Got it.
Yeah. So, anyways.
All right.
What are you looking forward to in the game? Because I said some of mine. What are you looking forward to?
Rodgers staying healthy, no injuries. I want to see the back end of the cornerback group. Dimitri Goodson. Why
is he still around?
Why? Lindsey Pipkins, I want to see the young defensive backs, obviously Alexander, Josh Jackson, but we know they're going to make the roster. I want to know who the bottom of the roster is going to be because these guys are going to have to play at some point. There's going to be an injury, and the depth has been the problem. That's why we got run out of Atlanta 2 years ago. The depth has been the problem. I want to see what the bottom of this roster looks like. We didn't talk about linebacker. I love Greer Martini. This kid, he's fiery.
Like him,
he's
huh?
fiery. He's feisty. I like him.
We'll talk about that for a second because we are going to wrap up the show here. But Oren Burks played really well, and I'm really happy with him. I think his biggest concern is his size and not getting off blocks well. So that's something I want to see defensively this week is him working through blocks a little better. But the kid really seems to know what the heck is going on. He's got his head in the game. He knows what's happening. Now, they're playing a very vanilla defense. So we'll see how that carries over into the regular season when they actually play their scheme. Right now they're just playing they're playing basic defense. It's very simple. But Oren Burks looks good, looks mentally good. I am pretty happy with the inside linebacker position right now.
Well, his Baylor coach talked about how smart he was and what a great football mind he is, and you can just tell. I said on one of my other shows earlier, it's weird watching number 42 run around in this bigger body type.
Right.
Morgan Burnett's old number, and he was always kind of the stalwart on defense and was kind of the dependable veteran.
Do you mean Vanderbilt, by the way?
Or Vandy. What did I say, Baylor?
Baylor.
Yeah, Vandy. Okay, Vanderbilt.
But he's smart. He's smart. He's picked
smart,
up the defense, but he's actually very athletic.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you have both, that's the problem. Is the Packers have had a lot of guys that were smart, but they couldn't get there. You got cement in your shoes. You can't get to the sideline. It doesn't do us any good. But Oren Burks doesn't have that problem.
Lurker says Spriggs-Lewis tag team. He means Mercedes-Lewis, like I was saying. That wherever Spriggs goes, if Rodgers is on the field, wherever Spriggs goes, Lewis goes. But since they're a tag team now, I want them to also come out to the DX theme music. Like, they need to come out like a real wrestling tag team.
Yeah. Make the XFL more like the NFL. It would help if I knew this roster well enough. Sorry, Lurker. I questioned it back.
With Mercedes-Lewis coming in, it's like the last 3 years they've had a different tight end group every year. So
at first I thought he was talking about Lucas Patrick, and I was like, what?
What is he talking about? Yeah, Mercedes-Lewis. Mercedes-Lewis just needs to follow Spriggs around. Wherever he goes, that's where Lewis needs to be. If Rodgers is on the field, Spriggs needs help. Don't let Rodgers die. Number one goal. Don't let Rodgers die.
Let's see a touchdown and a Lambeau leap, and let's get these fans excited. This is the last home game until the opener against the Bears, which, again, are we not so fortunate and lucky that God gave us the Bears in week 1? I don't remember who.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. All
right. I think that's it. I think for now that's it. I mean, there's a game coming up on Thursday. There's going to be plenty more to talk about. I'm really happy with where things are at. Yes, I would love to see a Khalil Mack trade, but with where this team is at right now, I think things are trending up.
All right, so how are we looking for next week? Are we looking at another midweek show so we can kind of promo this thing a little bit sooner than 2 minutes before we kick off?
We will be getting on a regular schedule.
Okay.
As of right now, in the preseason, it's been a little irregular because the teams are a little irregular. I mean, they play on Thursday, so for the second week in a row. So I don't know when they play the following week, but we will have a show next week, and we'll make sure to promo that before it happens so everybody knows what's going on.
Thank you for the couple of you that came out and were on the chat and have been listening. Really appreciate it.
We really appreciate it. Yep. You can follow me at Jeremy RVDL. You can follow Jason at Jason Perrone on Twitter. You can yell at us and tell us whatever. You can send us pictures of Khalil Mack. Whatever you want to do. The world is your oyster.
Or Quentin Rollins or whoever.
No, don't do that. Don't send me any pictures of Quentin Rollins.
All right, until next week. Cheesehead TV.